Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. I was in here doing a little bit of chatting this morning. Who did I miss? Looks like a lot of people. Laughing Corpses said she's dyeing her hair. Roots only or the whole thing? Because I think I'm going to have to do the whole thing. Hello, Elizabeth. I just been talking to Juicy Tequila Bobo over in Discord. Mayor's back. Where you been, Mayor? There's Aaron. I saw Aaron in the summer show yesterday. Nost it Poets, missed you. Where you been? Heather Max here. All right. Where you been, Heather? Connie? Crafty one? Hello, new member, Queen of Ravens. I got to get a members live going ASAP. I was going to do it this afternoon. And, well, you know how my schedule's been going. What's up, Tamara? What's up? Sonia's here. I've been drinking Sonia's coffee. Sonia sent me some beautiful maple coffee. It is dessert in a cup. Telling you. Hey, Zach, what's up? Summer Thunder. Lex, what's up? Lex said she has to go make a sandwich now. Lex is having sandwiches for breakfast. That's okay. Hello, new member Connie. How are you doing today? What's everyone doing for the weekend? We made it to Friday. Got some stuff to talk about to tie up some loose ends before the weekend. Some food for thought before Monday. So welcome to my channel, Crime Lines and Lies. Very stupid name. That's been pointed out to me many times because it's something people can easily use against you. They're like, oh, well, look, the disclaimer is they're going to lie to you. Look right there. It says right there. Criminals lie. Okay? We're here to go through cases and talk about the facts as we see them. So again, I'm glad everyone's here. I haven't checked the lineup for this weekend. Nothing's going to beat that Chiefs game last night, hands down, that's for sure. But that's exactly what I'm going to be doing this weekend. That is definitely what I'm going to be doing. So let me see. I'm looking at a comment right now. Glasses would help. Glasses would help. So a lot was going on last night for sure. Zanime went on Popcorn Planet. Going to talk a little bit about that. Looks like Tony's back to using his channel. Might be a good idea for them just to leave it alone. Don't you think? Zach, you have a bass tournament? What's the biggest bass you've gotten? Hang on, this is what I need to hear. Grandma D said, I just saw on Twitter that the Nevada County Sheriff will update on this case on the 19th. I wonder if that's going to be a live press conference or if we're just going to get a news clip. Anybody know any more about that? I'm going to leave that comment up before I get to the comments. September 19th. Did they specify September? Because with my luck, I'm going to be all ready to do a live, and it's like, oh no, it's October. Denise said first hearing it. Uh-oh, Ohio State Buckeyes football. The week of the 19th. So not the 19th specifically. It could be anytime that week. So that's for an update. Obviously not the autopsy and toxicology. It hasn't been that long yet. It hasn't been that long yet. Hang on. Cheryl says the biggest fish I caught was 76 pounds. It was a carp. I believe it. Carps and catfish can freaking eat you. They're huge. They're huge. So we got Jay Woody backstage. I'm going to bring him up. We're going to talk a little bit about Zanime. Sleuthy, I guess, was on Tony's panel last night. They were having a really good conversation. He was really kind of skating around things that she was asking him. I'm not going to put the clip up because he's kind of in some hot water, so he may not like that. He may not like us sharing his content, but we're at least going to talk about it. Let's see what our friend Jay's going to be doing this weekend. What's going on? What's good, Jay?
Good morning, Brooks. It's Friday. The sun is shining. It's a good day.
It's a good day. It's going to be a good weekend. It's not hot as hell anymore, so we can actually get outside and breathe. Breathing's important. No, it was on Tony's channel. He's back at it, my friends. He's back at it. Did you see any of that? I was sent a clip. Without you guys, I would never know anything that's going on. You guys are awesome. You guys will email me and say, go to minute mark, such and such. And I'm like, cool, because I can't go through 8 hours of this. So I saw a little bit of Sleuth Dog talking to Tony. She asked the infamous question again. It was also brought up on Popcorn Planet. Why was Sammy on your show? Not picking on anyone's platform, although I do have an issue with his for obvious reasons, and you all know what I'm talking about. Things I can't say on my own channel, or it would have been taken down. How these people get away with nastiness, I'll never know. So Sleuthy just asked him, how did you get Sammy on your channel? How did you get her? How did you get her on there? I mean, I'm not saying it's like he interviewed Princess Diana. It's not like people were clamoring for Sammy, but still, it's odd, very odd. The only case he'd ever really talked about on his channel was Naomi Irons.
So I didn't get a chance to see that. What was his response?
He said he's burnt out answering that question.
I don't recall him ever answering the question.
Well, if he's burnt out answering it, he must have answered it 500 times. It must roll right off the tongue. Has anybody heard? And yeah, this is nothing but part of the soap opera, because it has nothing to do with how Kylie wound up in the lake. I'm kind of getting into the drama here. Did anybody ever hear how this interview that made Sammy famous, we all got to meet Bruiser, ever came down? All he said was, I'm burnt out answering that question. Well, you must not be able to answer it. What do you think, Jay?
Well, if we're going on face value, we see that he checked into Truckee on, what was the 10th and 11th, I believe? Mm-hmm. And logic would say that he approached Sammy at that time and paid her for an interview. Now, listening to Popcorn Planet yesterday, and this will be the first time I've even mentioned her name because I try to steer clear of it, but Xana May stated that Tony was never in Truckee. How she knows that is the better question. So, yeah, a lot of mystery to that whole situation.
You better believe it. I mean, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? I mean, we know how creators reach out to people. There's some people that pay money. They get a background check. They get the actual phone number, the whole 9 yards. I'm not that invested, guys. I don't mean to let you down. I'm just not.
Yeah,
I'd be
same here.
in trouble for stalking or something. But normally it's through Instagram, it's through Twitter, it's through Facebook. You know, they jump in a comment somewhere saying, hey, check your message requests, or hey, check your spam. It's not uncommon. No one's going to think it's weird. But he's like, I'm burnt out answering that question. You don't need any more mystery or trying to think of the right adjective. You don't need any more question marks around you, dude. I think we're filling the blanks in just fine on our own.
Yeah, when in doubt, double down, right?
Why can't you just say, I was in Truckee. I happened to recognize her. I walked up and said, hey, I have a channel. Would you be interested in speaking with me on my channel, my platform? Why is that hard to answer? He wasn't at the party on August 5th. Or just say, I found her on Facebook. I sent her a message. She answered. She said, what time?
It is very odd. What day was the first press conference? Was it the 11th, 10th or 11th?
Hang on. 6.
Where she jumped up with her brought from home microphone?
Let me look at my calendar. Hang on, because JPL went up there. Let me see. It's on my channel. You think I would know?
Yeah, I don't have my timeline in front of me handy.
The party was the 5th, as we know. The 6th is when she was reported missing. The tip line was set up on the 7th. I want to say the 10th, the 9th, or the 10th. Oh, I missed an eye doctor appointment on the 9th. Bad. Shame on me.
Okay, so we're looking midweek.
Well, Tuesday was the 9th. Because at the press conference is when they said about how she had gone off grid at 12:33. Then the community meeting, one of many, because they had them all week, was when one of the officers said, we know that car hasn't been seen since 12:33. I still cannot get over that comment. And when people say, oh, well, maybe they misspoke. No. When law enforcement's talking, they're very meticulous in what they say. They know that their words can get twisted. They know they could possibly be sitting in the hot seat in front of a judge in a year and a half, 2 years, and any little slip up can be like, but you said the car, you didn't say her. You said the car, you didn't say the phone. Why'd you say the car?
Yep. So that being said, back to the question, how did he land the interview? How did he land that interview? Because you would think that any news station would pay more than he would.
Hang on. I plead the 5th seems to know. I plead the 5th. You said it's in the beginning of the interview? How did I miss that? I've watched it too many times. I'm too embarrassed to tell you how many times I've watched it. Well, if he said in the beginning of the interview, why is it such a big deal to answer now? Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I'm so frustrating.
Oh, no, that was just my question to your question is how would he land the interview when he could be outbidded by any news station, even local?
Well, assuming that it's cash for trash, most people, if they have any integrity at all, there's no money exchanged to talk to someone. I know some people that do it. That's on them. But that always leaves a big question mark. Well, did you pay them to say that, or did they talk freely? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Doug says I need to drink a 5th. Is day drinking allowed on a Friday at 9:45 a.m.? I think Doug.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Doug. We're okay. So yeah, the community meeting. Why would he have been there and had a check-in on the 10th and 11th? JPL did not recognize him. And she was at the community meeting. She couldn't go to the press conference, as you guys remember, because we had JPL on the scene all week. She did not recognize that man. When we were told that Sammy was going on his show, first question was, who? Who's that? Then she goes on, which actually weirder things have happened in these cases. Not going to lie. Not going to lie. And JPL didn't recognize him at all.
It does definitely seem like there's more than meets the eye. This guy has not attended any other press conferences in relation to missing persons. As far as true crime goes, I don't think that he's ever interviewed anybody else close to the case. It does make you go,
And just because JPL didn't see him doesn't mean he wasn't there. Don't think I'm saying that because she didn't see him that he wasn't there.
I understand.
I'm not saying that at all. It's just another oddity. You know what I mean? because he kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. The voice alone is going to make you run for the hills. Well, he said he's not on answering the question. Everybody's listened to the interview beginning to end several times, and now what we have is, because of his nastiness, I really just don't believe that spam in his inbox, because you were explaining, I don't get a lot of Instagram messages, everybody. I'm not that popular. Now, you were explaining to me how the Instagram world works. Can you fill us in?
Yeah, so only people that you're friends with can send a message direct to your inbox. If you get a message from someone that you're not friends with, you have to approve that message before it goes to your main inbox. You would have to either have already replied and accepted that message for it to be in your main inbox along with all your other messages.
All right, so it didn't pop up.
Yeah.
I get it. It's basically like Facebook. So if you get a message from someone you don't know, it's going to be in requests or in spam.
Basically, yeah. But in my opinion, it's the context that matters, because it's just like Ryan said, that was an answer to a question, or a question looking for an answer. Like there was already a conversation started.
That's what I was saying too. This was not a subject line. This looked like it was a continuation, because that would have been easily explained, except for the fact that you didn't immediately delete it and block it. That still would have been out there. But no. Not only had it been sitting there, 3 messages up from your spouse's message, it looked like it had been opened, left there, and looks like there's a conversation going on.
Yeah, it seems like one of those situations where it's like he is who we thought he was. Just nobody wanted to admit it until Mr. Upchurch came along.
Well, at least we cleared that up. At least we cleared up that mystery. Now we got about 555 more to go. So, Xana May was on Popcorn Planet last night. We watched it in Discord. You popped in for that, right, Jay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It seemed to me, and I've missed a lot in all of that. There's a lot to keep up with. What little bit I know seemed like I knew more than her. She seemed to have her own timeline. Her own timeline messed up, to the point where the host even had to keep asking her to clarify. He was like, "Now hold on, this is what you just told me." Well, no, hang on. Like, he was starting to figure out he was getting lied to. What in the hell is going on? Did you catch that vibe, Jay?
Yeah, and I can't speak to specific questions that you're referring to. But, I walked away from listening to it like she was full of BS. You can't BS a BSer.
No.
And, take what you will for Popcorn Planet. He can see through BS like any normal person can.
No good deed goes unpunished, my dude. No good deed goes unpunished, because he looked about halfway through it like he wished he'd never turned on the mic. This was not worth it. She's not being as transparent as I thought she would be. I don't think she has, me personally, I don't care what anyone else thinks. You can grab the link and explain, how I could be wrong. I don't think she has anything to do with Kylie's disappearance, but I think there's something very, very weird that looks kind of set up to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and wasn't sure if we were going to go there or not. It was definitely a PR campaign, and her foot didn't just happen to get in that door. I'll say that much.
How many times did she mention just being a fan? I'm just a fan. I counted like 3 times one time. I think I stopped it a couple times when we were doing our general Discord. And I'm like, well, she keeps mentioning being a fan. What does that have to do with this?
A fan of what? A fan of his?
A fan of the channel that got her involved in this, supposedly.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a lie in itself. She's been a long time mod.
Oh. That was not mentioned. That's okay, though. That's okay. Internet's a big place. The internet's a big place. The host looked, like I said, kind of drained, like halfway through. And I mean, he's got a great platform. He's got a lot going on. He did a great interview with Doug from Adventure with a Purpose. He just looked worn out and frustrated. Like, come on.
Well,
How many
that's kind of
times did he ask her if she was lying?
yeah. That's kind of where I was going with the whole foot in the door thing. You saw the only other influencer that he brought up to talk to Doug that day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, well. She didn't do herself any favors. And if she clearly works for NASA, and this is what she said, I'm not doxing this woman. I don't care about her. I really don't. If she truly works for NASA and she's about to retire from the military and all the things that she herself said on there, none of this she should be involved with, and she certainly shouldn't be picking fights for no reason. She has kept this fire going, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I would say that NASA probably frowns upon these types of things.
You would think, you would think I could NASA NASA's bigger than all of these channels that we're talking about combined. Oh my God. When she said that, I was like, oh, wow, lady. Never mind. I got it now. I got it now. So then also out of this exchange, I did see a lot of stuff in chat where people were starting to sympathize with Sammy. Hey, we don't know if Sammy did anything or not. We don't know, except for be a terrible, terrible friend to her own admittance. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. We're not accusing her, even though there's a ton of red flags, of doing anything to get Kylie in that lake. But there's a ton of red flags. We're going to talk about girl code today. We got the perfect person to do it with. Jay's here. So a lot of people in that chat seem to be forgetting about all the red flags circling the case, and they were laser focused on Zanime, to the point where they were like, oh, Sammy just looks so bad now because of Tony. And I'm like, no, she was freely talking. Did you see any of those comments?
Comments, not so much, but I kind of saw it within some of the callers that just kind of spouted off some stuff that was hearsay about the case and not very knowledgeable at all.
I don't know who this person is, but they obviously don't want to have a discussion today, and that's okay. Like I said, the internet's the big place, and then go somewhere else. Shani said the interview made her look worse. Well, what they're saying is it's because of Tony. It's because of Tony. What I saw was kind of a creepy dude talking to a young girl, young adult, not really asking her the right questions. I mean, he was basically just fawning over her.
Well, they were all blanket questions. They weren't any kind of digging at all. And granted, she, at that point, there was no reason to think of her as sus at all. But still, someone of better understanding of missing persons and true crime and any kind of criminality at all is going to ask more direct questions.
Makes you wonder why he even wanted her on there if he wasn't even going to ask her what's up. You know? I mean, because the interview was ill-prepared. I mean, it's like he hadn't even seen her news, like her being on the news, you know? It was sloppy. He acted infatuated with her. He just let her talk, which that part worked for me. And I mean, the just letting her go on because she let things slip out. Put in chat what all she let slip out. Love to swim, 38 minutes. The last call, the tank top. I can verify that's not her tank top. Mentions driving, puts herself in the driver's seat. Kylie's a smart girl. She would have figured it out. I mean, she put herself front and center. And that interview, we were already a little skept of her. That nailed it. That nailed it.
I drank out of everything she drank. I mean, if that's not painting a picture, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yeah. We're actually going to look at that clip again. Well, let's get to some comments from the last show, shall we?
Let's do it.
Oh, Connie just said, spoke of her in past tense. That's another one. Hello, Double.
Even Mom did in one of her first interviews as well.
These early interviews that I've been going through like crazy are driving me crazy.
Yeah. Did you see the one where she mentioned scratches on her car?
Scratches on her car. I got an email showing also scratches on Kylie's bumper that look identical to scratches on Jagger's bumper. I was sitting there looking at bumpers for I can't tell you how long. I was like, how the hell can this be? Nuts. PJ yesterday said, new sub here. Awesome. While we're going through comments, guys, we have a lot of new names in here. Hit the sub button, and if you feel so inclined, please give it a like. It does help us with the powers that be at the thing we're all on called YouTube. She says, new sub here. In my state, a child under the age of 18 cannot be out roaming the streets past 10. Well, it's that way in California, too. It's been alluded to by a lot of people. That might be another reason that mom is like, don't talk about this anymore. Don't talk about this anymore. She said, also, I have followed similar cases like this, and the person who supplied the alcohol to this party will be investigated and or charged for the accident. What do you all think about that? Do you think there'll be any accountability, any justice at all in this case? Or do you think it's just all going to be tied up with a bow, tragic accident, move along and get a hobby, like mom said?
Brooks, I'm seeing a different comment that you have put up.
Oh, that was one from earlier. I'm reading the comments from yesterday.
Okay. Well, yes, I was just confused. Okay.
Sorry. So what do you think about that? Do you think that might be one of the reasons mom doesn't want this talked about? Because Kylie shouldn't have been driving around anyway because there's a curfew. I'm not saying it's mom's rule. It's a law.
The more and more I hear from her mom, it doesn't make sense. She doesn't speak like someone who wants the truth.
Or she might want the truth, but doesn't want anyone talking about it because more and more things are coming up. That I don't think that's, I know I keep bringing her up as an example, but Stacey Jones, she got raked over the coals. She didn't care. She said, "Oh, well, either way, you're talking about my daughter. If you want to hate on me, hate on me." The focus is Michaela, finding out what happened to Michaela Jones. She didn't care what people said about her. Even made up lies did not bother this woman. Well, I mean, they bothered her, don't get me wrong. It pissed her off to no end. But the focus is Michaela.
I can't see her caring too much about what others think. Because if you look at her new husband, he's not exactly clean.
He's got some stuff in his past. I mean, mind you, it's like 10, 15 years ago. I don't know of anything recent. Maybe that's another reason she's saying, get a hobby and go home. I understand that, we had a GoFundMe, didn't even meet half of its goal. That's very odd considering this had nationwide attention. You have to admit, the GoFundMe, the amount, not saying that there's anything wrong with $63K, right? Nobody would, that's a lot of money. But to not even meet half your goal with a case that's nationwide, I just thought that was odd.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole that you could go down just in the GoFundMe itself.
The memorial, the lack of people there.
Yeah, it seemed like a teen party almost on one aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to go down the road of the other aspect that it had vibes of, but I think everybody knows what I'm referring to.
Uh-huh. Everybody keeps saying it's cult vibes. Lisa said, what if my hobby is being a BS detector? I think that's everybody's hobby, girlfriend. That's everybody's hobby. Insane.
I just, that statement, there's honor in silence. When has there ever been honor in silence? That's such an odd statement.
Chris Brooks said, Mom said, go get a hobby. This case has become my hobby. Let's do a quick poll real quick before I get to the next comment that was left in the last after show. By the way, if I showcased your comments, send me an email. Let's do a poll real quick. Why do you think Mom wants everyone to shut up? Something she doesn't want brought up? Why do you think? I can't think of all the answers because there could be like 10 of them. Why do you guys think Mom wants everyone to shut up? Lead with Love said, because she's really been talking to me about Mom lately. She said she's from California. Okay. She knows the area. She does not live in Truckee. Don't need to worry about her. She's super cool. She said in her world, her spiritual supremacy can't allow for questions, bad guys, and for sure no comparing her life with those of us down the hill in the valley below who are not artists and at one with the universe. She said, stay special up there, but remember, you live in our state, California, and inheritance gets spent leaving no money for trips around the world. I didn't understand what the last sentence was, but she's trying to explain to me that there's a little different mindset there, a little different mindset.
Look, we all have different mindsets. We're all raised differently. We all believe differently. But I think one thing that we do all have in common is heart and love that's instilled in us from the time we're born, probably even before. But those kind of statements don't reflect any kind of emotion. That's what blows my mind.
Where's the emotion? This is not for my entertainment by any means. Don't get me wrong. I just kind of think it's the audacity and cockiness of if you're all about the universe and love and you've been given, you know, all of this outpouring of it, that probably wasn't the best moment to say, shut up, get a hobby, go away, mind your own business. We got this. That's what she said. We got this. Let's see who else has got this. Audrey's backstage. Hello, Audrey. What are you doing today?
Hi, guys. Hey,
friend.
I just dropped my daughter off at school.
Lovely.
Yeah, this whole family, the mother, it's very strange. Like, it's just a weird vibe around it all. It's not the normal of what I know of, people to be out here. It's more like this modern day hippie, very positive, like just happy to be living where they're living,
What do you make of that last comment? This woman, she's also from California. She doesn't live in Truckee or anywhere around there. She's very familiar with the area because she said you have to understand certain people, she's not specifically, well, she might be talking about mom. She's, they frown down upon the working people in the valley, and they consider themselves like one with the universe. This universe supremacy thing is going on. What do you know about that? Please help me out.
I don't know anything about that because where I live in this mountain town that's close by, it's different. You have the working class, middle class, and then it's a small percentage of locals that are actually, I would say, like, wealthy. It's usually these second homeowners that are wealthy. So there's a different kind of vibe there, I guess. It's confusing to me because I don't understand that dynamic. Like the snobby, I guess, like better than, I don't know. That's not something that I know of in these areas.
I just really, for one, I was kind of 50-50. Either she'll say something or she won't. I wouldn't have been surprised or blamed her either way. I was more expecting thanks for coming out. This is what, we miss Kylie, of course. We love Kylie. We're not going to stop until we get answers type of thing. That's normally what we get from moms of accident or foul play. Didn't expect a big thanks for the cash, F off.
Yeah, stop talking. Yeah, when to begin with, she was asking everyone, please spread the word, get this out there so we can find her. And then as soon as she was found, it was like this anger towards AWP, and everybody just shut up and stopped talking about it. And it's so weird to me because we've had like tragedies, like tragic deaths in these small mountain towns, and the whole community comes together and supports this family, like these families that of victims. And it seemed like they just want to keep everything closed up. And it makes me wonder if it was already like the vibe for that family to stay away. Like if people weren't as open with them, or there was a reason that people, I just expected like the whole town to be there. I expected, she grew up there. There should have been like everybody from that high school, like just other people that grew up there. She should have had so many more friends. I don't understand that either.
And like I said, the name of the show is Girl Code 101.
Yeah.
I'm looking, of the after effects of how we see how her girlfriends are acting. If they're acting this way after her death, I imagine they were extra nasty when she was alive. You don't hook up with your friends, ex-boyfriend, boyfriend. you don't go around telling people she was too drunk to drive. You keep some respect and secrecy. You keep some honor there,
Yeah, definitely. I would think there would be more of that small town, like close knit community, like loyalty, and especially with young friends. I don't understand that. And you definitely wouldn't leave your girlfriend at a party drunk, ever,
Ever. And
ever.
Sammy wasn't the only one. Other people were there. That's why I've had the question this whole time. Was she really, really that drunk? Because I mean, forget Sammy. If Sammy's a loser and Sammy doesn't care about other people, and Sammy said, "Yeah, whatever, she's smart, she'll find a ride. I don't care. I'm out of here." Even though one of the girl code thing is you never leave your friend behind for a boy or anything.
Mm-mm.
You came
Mm-mm.
together, you leave together, you never leave someone behind at the party. Hell, Kylie's grandfather was even on News Nation telling, everybody that heard, don't ever leave your friends behind at a party, he said. This is not a new rule.
No, no, definitely not.
You
And
don't you
yeah.
don't let your friends stay behind. You're like, no, you're coming with me.
You're very protective, especially with girls. They're like, it's usually like a group of them, and it wouldn't just be one person watching out for Kylie.
No,
It
there
would
has
be
to be some Girl Scout or Boy Scout in the party going, hey, this girl's falling down. She's running into trees. She's
Mhm.
she's the loud one at the party. We got to get her home safely. Somebody would
And
have.
she had to know multiple people there. There had to be people that she knew there from that town. And you think that they would look out for her. It's just a totally different vibe that I get from them. It's not the normal. It's not what I know. It's not what I know even about people that have lived in Truckee and still people that still live in Truckee.
And that is so important. You brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's actually one of my notes. Not to compare cases because they're not comparable. But, we
Mhm.
had this issue, still have this issue with the Summer Wells case, East Tennessee, Hawkins County. It seems like within a couple of weeks of when Summer went missing, it was instantly, that's how they live there. That's East Tennessee. I wouldn't step foot in Hawkins County. And yet I've gotten to know so many people that live there. I've been there. I haven't been to Ben Hill Road or anything, just, in my travels, I've been to East Tennessee several times. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Just like
Mhm.
California. Beautiful area. My God, it's
Yeah.
hard. And it's like, no, that's how Summer's parents are. That's how their circle is, not the whole community.
Yeah. It's weird. It makes me think again that there was some kind of dynamic before even this where people stayed away from that family or a certain group, you know? It's not the normal at all.
So no, I don't want anyone to think we're talking about the Tahoe area or anything like that, but something's very strange, especially when I've gotten some emails from there. They're like, look, this they march by a different drummer. They march by a different drummer for sure. That's the reason you're getting not that vibe, but you're getting that attitude. You don't want to be the girl that shows up at school and all your friends are wearing skirts and you're in jeans because you've done pissed someone off if that happened. Correct?
Yeah, there's certain little, I guess, like girl code laws. And yeah, it's just everything around the girls and her so-called friends. It doesn't seem like friends, especially for a small town. It's such a loyalty that you have to these people that you've grown up around. It's I just I would imagine she would have had so many more friends. So
Yeah,
there's something about it that makes me feel like they secluded themselves. I don't know. They must have just been like the odd ones out, or I don't know. It's very strange.
and even outside of close friends, she worked at the Cha Tea Place, which is a tea and coffee shop That's service industry. You see people in town every day. People knew who she was. It didn't matter if
Yeah.
she was close to them or not.
In that interview that they did with her coworkers and her boss, they seem more genuine in the way that they spoke about her and how
Than the
they felt
family.
about her than her friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe it's like the parents are actually friends with each other and the kids not so much, but it just doesn't seem right.
And that's actually a very interesting point, and that has been brought up to me, that the moms are friends with each other. But I mean, at what point do you say, look, your child's alive? Hey, if your child gets a ticket or you get into some kind of trouble, that's one thing. My child is not. I'm going to get the answers and I'm going to get justice for my child. You should be my friend right now, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I
You
don't.
brought that up about the coworkers. Let's watch that clip real quick. Do you guys have time?
Yeah, let's watch it.
Because that's
Meanwhile,
really,
it was an emotional day.
I have
Good
to
comment, Peter.
the screen. What'd Peter say?
No more free boba drinks for Sammy.
Well, that's another thing. In her memorial speech, and I see everybody backstage. Don't worry, I'm going to get to you. Just, if you don't mind, let's stay on topic. We've had a couple of people that have wanted to talk about things that have nothing to do with this case. That's cool. We can do that on a members live or something. And the camera on backstage is fine. So I know I'm dealing with a person. That helps. But no camera up here. YouTube has been really crazy lately. That's another thing. Yeah, no more free drinks. In her memorial speech, she's saying she's giving out free products. That's not a good friend to say something like that, do you think?
Yeah, no. That's another thing with friends. There's a code there. Like even if that was your good friend and you gave her some drinks here and there, you wouldn't out her.
That's what she said in her memorial speech. So
Yeah.
it's like on one hand, she's smart, she's popular, she's pretty, she's a great singer, loves to swim. Then she says, oh, but she was so drunk. But she's a smart girl. I know she'd figure it out. Oh, yeah. And she basically stole from her employer. No, sorry. Mm-mm.
Yeah, she's contradicting her character.
Well, they all paint two Kylies for us. We
Mhm.
have the Kylie, mainly Sammy, and Jagger a little bit. They paint two Kylies. We have graduated early, smart, medical school, ready to get down the road, ready to get on with life, all of that stuff. Great musician, love to sing, the whole 9 yards. And then but this one night, even though she was responsible enough to text her mom, still don't know what time that was. We're going to talk a little bit about that because it does matter. But she's just out of her mind. Out of her mind. That doesn't work. That doesn't jive.
In Truckee, Placer County deputies are now confirming the body of 16-year-old Kylie Rodney has indeed been recovered. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias is talking to her former co-workers tonight.
Chris, the Chaffine-Tees of Truckee is where Kylie Rodney worked up until recently. Her former co-workers and boss telling me that they are still in a state of shock and disbelief, knowing that the teen will no longer be returning home after going missing almost 2 weeks ago.
It's just hard to think about that somebody you saw like a couple weeks ago is just not here anymore. It's just hard to wrap your head around.
It was not long ago that Abby Bunker worked alongside Kylie Rodney here at Chaffine-Tees of Truckee. Today, the Nevada County Sheriff Coroner identifying the 16-year-old as the person found in the Proser Reservoir over the weekend.
It's been a long 2 weeks. Of course, it's one of our own, and and my heart goes out to her parents especially, and we are just broken. That's all I can say.
Her boss, Cindy Shippey, says she worked here for about a year and a half. She describes Rodney as a hard worker who bonded with everyone at the family-owned business.
If you met Kylie, she was like really honest and she was like really badass. She was like, you like saw her and you were like, I want to be her. Like, she is so cool. She's strong. Like, she didn't let anybody like overpower her.
The loss of their coworker has left them emotional, wishing the signs they posted just a couple of weeks ago could have brought her back home alive.
It's like we all like put so much like into like going to look for her and like putting up posters, and then just the fact that she's just like, we all know that she's just not around anymore. It just kills the whole community. It's hard.
But for Shippy, also a grandmother to a teen, the plan is to spread the memory of Rodney, who had an entire future ahead of her.
You have to move forward. That's life, but doesn't mean it's easy. And I think that we'll all slowly get better. We just gotta pray and hope that we all move on and we hold her up with all of the good that she was.
Everyone here tells me that the impact that Kylie had on everyone will never be forgotten. Meanwhile, the Nevada Sheriff's Office says that a toxicology report will take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. Chris?
This breaks my heart. How is the boss and the coworker, how did they get me on the verge of tears, but Mom and Sammy pissed me off?
Yeah, they're so much more genuine. And I mean, it makes me kind of happy to know that she did have that.
Me too.
Because the other friends, it made me sad. This poor girl didn't have like loyal people in her life. So, I mean, I'm glad that she had that, but what a difference.
You know what that paints a picture to me as is that Kylie was very mature for her age. And we know many other examples of that, like graduating early and all that good stuff. But I mean, you look around that coffee shop, and aside from the girl who gave the interview, it's some middle-aged women. Kylie was probably around a lot of adults the majority of her time. It paints the picture that, if you're doing a character profile of Kylie, that she probably made pretty damn good decisions, because that's the kind of influence she had around her. I can't buy that she went and got trashed and drove her car into the lake. It's not on the top of my list.
Mm-mm.
No, it doesn't seem like her at all.
And let me ask you guys, everybody in chat, this is mom code. This is mom code. This is dad code. How would you react to anyone that came around you that said, yeah, she was really, really messed up and I just left her? Would you embrace that person and be like, I mean, at some point for your own mental health, you would have to let it go, not let it go. You would have to find a way in your own soul to forgive, just for your own mental peace, which would be almost impossible. Okay. How would you react to the kids at the party, which only one's admitted it, that this was what was really going on? How would you react to them? How would you?
I would be so sad and disappointed. I think I would want answers from them. I would be begging, basically, for answers. Like, you were there with her. You have to know something more.
You let her. Why did you not call me? I'd be like, okay, look, she drank too much. Oh my God, somebody should have called me. Somebody should have called me. I couldn't even, furious wouldn't be the word. I wouldn't even know how to react to these people. I would be so mad and so brokenhearted,
Yes, definitely. Same.
And on top of that, assuming that she was really the one who sent her mom the text message at, was it 11:30 I'll be home in 45 minutes, or I'll be home 45 minutes late. Even Doug from AWP said that message was very clear and direct, did not look and sound like anybody that was intoxicated, inebriated, messed up.
Yeah.
How would she 45 or 30 minutes later not be functionable?
Yeah, it's like, to me, it just with what Sammy said about sharing drinks with her, she was painting this picture, and it feels like after that text message, possibly whatever drug she was given, whether willingly or not unknowingly, kicked in. That's just what I believe from what we've heard.
Yeah. No, Blake said it's not their responsibility, really. Yeah, they should have, but you can't blame her friends for not calling their mother. That's not what teens do at parties. I'm going to have to agree to disagree on this one. And my question really is, as a parent, how would you react to a child, an 18, 19, 20, whatever, that is telling the world that she was too drunk? She doesn't even describe the drunkenness, okay? And that she just let her drive home. She said she's a smart girl, she'd figure it out. Well, no one is smart when they're inebriated, okay? No one is smart. And it wasn't just Sammy. I shouldn't just be talking about Sammy because there was many other people there. That's why I keep questioning, was she really that messed up? Was she messed up at all? That's what I'm questioning. Because somebody would have said, we got to get her home. Not everybody there was 16, 17, 18. We got to get her home. And okay, so let's say mom's on her way back from Reno and can't get there in a timely fashion. Fine. Grandpa, grandma, another parent, dad, somebody would have done the right thing.
Yeah, again, it's a small town. So there had to be more people there that knew her when she was younger even. And they would have been, I mean, I would imagine there had to be at least one person, that would have been like sticking up for her, protecting her, like, are you okay? And
that's the real question. It's not why wasn't her mom called. It's if she was not able to function on her own, why was no responsibility given to anyone else?
Yeah.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk. That's been around since 1980.
Yeah. It makes me wonder too. Sorry, but this is just what I think. If Sammy had the slip up where she said, I was driving, I mean, I was in the passenger seat, and it makes me wonder if she did drive Kylie's car because Kylie was so drunk.
That's a common theory that, honestly, somebody did try to drive her, and then when they had the wreck, they left her. It's just a theory, guys. We're not saying that's what happened. It's been brought up to me many times.
Yeah, and all we can do is question these things and put out our own guesses to what could have happened.
Yeah, red flags are red flags for a reason, and that's because they don't add up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely. What was I looking for? Hang on. I mean, I guess in all reality, from what's come out, the last person to actually see her was Elsa. How can Sammy claim that she was the last person when she left her basically pretty early on in the party? She couldn't possibly be the last communication with Kylie. Because from what I'm gathering, Elsa also says it was her, that she saw her, that she was one of the last people to see her.
Yeah. And it bothers me that Sammy, after she says that, every time she says that she was the last person to have contact or whatever, she says, so I was the one that knew what was happening. Well, what do you mean by that? You knew what was happening. What does that mean?
I've never understood that. I'm the one that pretty much knew what was happening. I'm the one that pretty much knew what was happening. Amy, I see you backstage. Can you turn an avatar on and turn your camera off, and I'll bring you up to talk with everybody? And Circle Box, I lost you. You were in line. I'll put you back up to the front.
You know, and you mentioned Elsa. There's a lot of inconsistency in her story and her testimony as well. And I say testimony not as to the law, but for what's been provided to the timeline, and the fact that Mags and Kylie supposedly arrived to the party together. Elsa sees Mags but not Kylie until an hour later. That doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, Mags and Jagger would be the only ones that don't know anything, because Mags was there for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10-minute Mags. Even though the PI says when everything comes out, it's all going to make sense. Well, can you give us a little nugget there while she was only there for 10 minutes? Only thing that makes sense to me is that she left because she'd been arguing with Kylie. She was the one that was having the argument.
You know, you bring up the PI, and I can't believe that I didn't take a screenshot, but earlier this week, there was some stuff being mentioned about Sammy's brother, and the PI said something to the effects of, no, that person is not Sammy's brother. When I interviewed Sammy's mother, this and that, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You were in contact with Sammy's family? This is the first. Why I didn't screenshot the dang tweet, I don't know, but it's not there anymore.
He took a bunch of stuff down. Well, we know he knows a lot about the family. He's the one that said they hightailed it to Montana. And when people said, well, maybe they're checking out colleges, maybe they had a vacation scheduled, you shouldn't be so judgmental. And he was like, nope, this was not planned. They left. They got out of there.
Yeah, and it's strange how he inserted himself. He came out of nowhere. Apparently, this is what he does. He travels to wherever these situations happen, and he inserted himself and buddied up with the family. And then he says, but I'm not their private investigator. But what else are you doing there?
And now he's suing a bunch of people. He's got a lot of stuff going on. This case is barely a month old. It's neck and neck for the win for the Watts case. It really is. I can't believe all the stuff going on. It's neck and neck for Watts Island. It really is.
Yeah, there's so many people that came out of the woodworks that just inserted themselves that we've never seen before, that we've never, just in the true crime community, we've never seen any of these people that just came out of nowhere and all of a sudden they inserted themselves into the situation, and they're I don't know, they're popping up in weird places and getting to know family, and it's such a mess already.
Well, and he puzzles me. This is just my own curiosity. I'm not saying that he has anything to do with anything with Kylie's disappearance. So let's not twist that. He said he volunteered. No one hired him. Okay. He got there very, very early on. I mean, I would say this had kind of hit everybody's news feed on like a Sunday or Monday after the missing report was made on Saturday. So he was there about that time frame. He said he volunteered. Now, he stayed there, from what I'm understanding, the whole time. So he was there for several weeks. He was there when, AWP found her. So he still got to pay his bills back at home. He's not getting a paycheck. So either he's just got some amazing credit and a credit card that he can pay off later, or somebody was paying him. Who can just take that many weeks off to go volunteer somewhere and not worry about paying the rent, paying the electric back home? Plus, I mean, hotels there are not cheap.
Yeah, it's so weird. And he came from, like, I forget where he said he was from, but I mean, he flew across the US to insert himself in this. Like, what was so special or different that you felt the need to go completely out of your way and commit so much of your time and money and build this relationship with the family and not, but you're a private investigator, but you're not investigating it, but you kind of are. It's just, it's really weird, and it's just a big red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's another red flag. Hang on. Put this up. This is just an older article. This is from Nancy Grace, Crime Online. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It just takes us from the beginning. The first photo depicts a hoodie Kylie was loaned on August 5th, you know, all of that stuff. Then there's her car. Poor girl. So then they say on Wednesday, Kylie's boyfriend, Jagger Westfall, told Fox 46 that he attended the same party as Kylie, which was intended to be a senior farewell party. Were you there or not?
He said that?
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Wow.
He also said it in another interview, and there's a news clip. But then when he was confronted about, well, what Adventures with Purpose said, they were like, man, that sounds like you. Nobody was accusing him. I actually thought the person was being very respectful. And he was like, basically, they're all liars, and I live 4 hours away. Or it might have just been I live 4 hours away. And I was like, nobody was asking you about how long it could take to get there.
Yeah, it's definitely too defensive for the situation. If you're not guilty of anything, why are you getting so angry and so defensive and telling us, oh, I was this far away?
Well,
Couldn't have been me.
In all reality, I would be beyond defensive. I would be like, are you kidding me? I wasn't even there. I wasn't even around there. And we know how kids and their emotions are. They'd be flipping out. You hear Kate, when Emma asked her, she said, have you watched this Adventures with Purpose thing? You know, talking about roadside assistance, the whole 9 yards. She didn't even ask a question. She just said, it's all BS.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, what part? What do you mean it's all BS? Jagger said, your witness is a liar.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like you would go about it that way if you were innocent.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I mean, I can understand being furious with the accusation and saying, no, I didn't find out till Saturday and drove from Reno, Napa, wherever he came from, because we still don't know where he came from. Just like we don't know how Sammy got home. Just like we don't know how Sammy got on Tony's channel. You know what I mean? The simplest things to answer, we have no answer for. How'd you get home, Sammy? This isn't being protected by law enforcement. This is stuff that you guys will not answer. Where did Jagger come from when he got the news? Because he stayed at the lodge with the mom and the stepdad.
Yeah, it should all be easy things to clear up. Like, very easy to clear up.
Well, I mean, it's right there. Well, like the text message. Okay, on HLN, take that down. HLN, mom says she got a text from Kylie at 11:30. I do not blame mom for this, for having her so much going on. She can't exactly remember. I'm not going to pick that apart too much, but I do think it's important. Another news clip we're going to hear in a minute. It was around midnight. Then when she talked to Fox, Around 12:15 a.m., she texted her parents that she was heading home. However, according to her mother, no one has come forward to say they saw her leave. No one was with her at the time. How can nobody be with her? She was at a party, and nobody could remember when she left or seeing her car drive away. Denise said Jagger was fishing at his own party. What do you guys make of that?
The
I
story
just think,
go
I
ahead.
think, yeah, I don't think having your dad vouch for you is a valid alibi. Just because you have someone that would lie for you, say that you weren't in the area at the time, doesn't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a parent, so he's going to protect his son. So we don't know if it's honest or not, and the story keeps changing.
Right.
Like,
First
okay,
it was
I was just
fishing.
in Napa. Now I was at a party with my dad. Now I was going fishing with my dad.
But then he slips to the news and says he was at the party.
Yeah.
It could be both ways. And we all love our children. We all would do anything for our children, but the law doesn't see it that way. So if you give someone an alibi, yet the law needs to know where they were at a particular time, you're going to be doing more than you ever thought you would do for your children, because you might be seeing the clink. You might be going to jail for that.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of if he was at the party or not on Friday night, he was there Saturday morning, and that places him in the midst of it. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's still there during the time where things could have still been happening.
I mean,
Kylie could have still been alive.
What was it that you found, Brooks, that placed her DOD on the 8th? Was it the 8th?
Oh no, hang on.
7th.
This is so weird.
Yeah,
the 7th. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had some people go, "Oh, anybody can put anything they want on that website." Well, then I want to know. I did get a screenshot of the person that put it up, and this guy is saying that he does genealogy for his family, not just any family that he comes across, his family. So he put this up. This is on Find a Grave. And a lot of people are like, well, it's not really, I mean, I get it. It's just, he came up with this date out of somewhere. Okay, so we know Adventures with Purpose got her out of the lake. God, that was something else. Awful. August 21st. She was last seen at a party August 5th. That's what we've known. Phone went off grid at 12:33. Missing report was made on the 6th. Tip line was set up on the 7th. This has a date of death of August 7th. Where are you getting the 7th?
It's so sad because it makes you think she was still alive then. So it could have been avoided. Like, it's just so sad how the friends and the family and everybody are treating this.
That's a very, very, date of death is a very, very important date. I don't think I would have been messing around with my family's genealogy unless I knew what the death certificate said. It's just not a time to add anyone to the family Bible. You know what I mean? Let's see what Amy's up to. Amy, what you got for me today?
Hi everybody. I just think it just keeps getting worse and worse. It's like you were saying how this case is neck and neck with the Watts case. It's getting there with the Summer Wells case. My opinion with this whole situation is I'm not going to be as long-winded with it as with all this stuff. Number one, I don't think these girls really cared about this girl. She
Can
was
you speak
just,
up?
so much a
Speak up?
virtue signal about to make themselves look good. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear
Can
me
you speak
now?
up? Yeah, can you speak up?
Yes, do you hear me now better?
Yes.
I'm gonna be right there. Wait, yeah, I'm gonna switch. Can I switch my earbuds for a minute? I'm not gonna do well with this. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Do you hear me now? I've been waiting so long. Okay, I think that these were just pretend friends, that they're making stuff up about her, and that the biggest problem I find is getting to the truth is not knowing, not getting these kids by themselves right away, and getting the parents went and cleaned up everything for them. And I think this is the kind of town where it's like a two-tier justice system, where these rich kids will never get the consequences, in my opinion. Do you hear me now?
Uh-huh. We can hear you. Yeah,
Hello?
like Alpha
Okay.
Dog.
It just reminds me. No, it reminds me of like I can go way back in time in Chappaquiddick, where Ted Kennedy, the whole thing with that, with covering accidents. You have a rich family, they come in and clean up. It's what attorneys you could afford, etc. I think it's dangerous what this mother put out with her strange speech on the life celebration day, as far as telling people to be silent. I think that's very dangerous, to tell people that you need to be silenced, because historically that's not good. We never get to the truth. We never learn from mistakes. It puts other missing people at risk, because you can't silence people that are trying to make a country safe for children and other people that go missing. I think that's a terrible message that she put out. I don't know if it's a reverse psychology, saying that she's trying to stay buddy with these friends so that they relax and they maybe slip up and really show what really happened to her daughter. But I doubt it, because I don't think that she would be like that because of her background. This whole thing is weird. It's just like, how did that Tony Dodge get that Sammy to come on? It's just, the whole thing just stinks. It's just the weirdest of things. And I really hope that AWP really comes forward and is even more transparent with what happened with this whole situation. I just think the problem with these cases is that too many people are not put in a room by themselves and given an interrogation right from the get-go. It gives them too much lead time to try to cover something up and create alibis. And now what we have is a big convoluted mess in this situation, not being able to figure things out. And I don't think these police people are doing the right thing, that they let this happen, to be quite honest with you. And I also think that Sammy had those meetings per her family's direction. They were probably handling her and helping her filter through everything, so that they would all, as a community, come up with a big lie to cover up for whatever happened to her. Because I don't think this was an accident at all. If it was an accident, then they're covering up for it. And that SF investigate, I think that's who you're speaking about.
No, go ahead.
About is the one that I think he's a fake PI. I've heard that he's not a real PI. He's a fashion photographer. I think you got a lot of weird people coming on the scene, just making a mess of everything, trying to make a name for themselves. That's basically all I have to say. But I think the girls were virtue signaling a lot of that on the TV, with them saying now they loved her, blah 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 blah, and that she stole and gave us things from the company and gave us free drinks. That they were just purely virtue signaling, trying to make themselves look good, because a lot of people do that in tragedies. They try to pump themselves up through a bad thing that happens in their community, to be quite honest with you. So that's, I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
No, perfect
But
sense.
I just think that's what those girls were doing. But I don't know. See, I don't know much about these parties. I never went to parties like this when I was younger. I just never did. It's just, I can't even tell you, because I really never went to these kinds of things with friends, because I just didn't go to them. I worked as a teenager. I went home. I hate alcohol. I never drank. So There was no appeal to that. So and I was a teenager in the late 80s. I mean, I don't know if it was different back then. I just don't remember it being like this with going to parties where there was all this stuff around, and the drug. I didn't see so many drugs, though there were people that were druggies in my town, but I just never got into that. I wouldn't even know where to begin if I were to go to a party, and I didn't even know where to go because I wasn't invited to them. So it's bizarre. But I don't think they were really her friends. I think they were, because she was having to work. You have the elite people that might have been making fun of her behind her back because she had to work, and they got handed everything, and they didn't have to do anything. They just were given cars and money and trips and all that stuff. So I just think that the biggest problem with all these cases is that the law enforcement does not get a hold of these people quick enough and get them in an interrogation process right away. I think that's the biggest problem, and the lack of cameras. So I don't like surveillance in our society. I don't like being watched at all times, but the lack of cameras now is a problem. And it's just getting to a point where you want to chip your kids, but then I don't want to chip my daughter because I'm like, I don't want this technology in the wrong hands. It could be used as a force of good, and it could be used as a force of evil. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. It's just, I just wish that these people would come forward already and just tell the truth what happened, because this is getting too much drama. And I don't trust how that Tony got that Sammy to interview her. Like, how was he the first one? Because he was basically an unknown, and the only way I knew of him was because of the Noemi Arion case.
Has a lag too. You have a really, really bad connection.
I'm sorry. I know I don't do well with StreamYard. I'm sorry.
Don't be shy. I'm glad you came up. So don't be shy. Grab it again when you get somewhere where you have a better connection. Okay.
No, I have to go. Bye.
Okay. Bye, hun.
It's funny that she mentioned the whole lack of cameras, because who else knew there was a lack of cameras, admittingly?
Who?
Is Sammy. Just another extra detail that she seems to just provide in the nick of time.
She knows everything. I'm really taken aback by the tank top. Well, I'm taken aback by all of it. Just for her to be so, unless it comes from our website, then it's not official. Oh, I can verify that's not her tank top, when she looks confused as to even what he's talking about. She didn't even realize there was a picture anywhere out there of somebody wearing a tank top. She didn't know that. But she has to act like she does. I'll never understand it. Tracy, can you email that to me? Let's see what Fueled by Coffee's up to. Hello, Fueled by Coffee. Turn off your camera, please. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
You bet.
All right. Okay, so I think from day one, I have been completely confused by this timeline. I can't get it straight, y'all. I don't think anybody can.
The timeline, according to law enforcement, is 6:08. They have her on surveillance at a local store, and 12:33 when her phone goes off grid. Everything that happened in the middle, we don't know. That's the timeline.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And we have Sammy saying that she was the last person to see her, yet according to Elsa, she was the last person to see her. On the timeline, it says that Elsa last saw her at 12:50 because she was walking her friend to her car, and Kylie fell in a hole, and they helped her stand up. And then they saw her walk into the dark by herself. That was at 12:50.
That's at 12:50, and of course they had the fights going on, which I have a feeling there was some illegal gambling going on. Sorry, that's just what I'm assuming. And somebody was filming that. I've seen different videos of it, and I don't know if it's that party or not, because what I'm seeing looks like daylight. This wasn't in the daylight.
I wonder if that's the 1 a.m. thing that people have said, the missing posters used to say 1 a.m. and then they changed it to 12:30.
I
The
forgot
very first
they did.
They used to say 1 and they pushed it back to 1:30. But Jagger, I suspected him at first, and then I totally didn't, and now I do again. The thing with the party, I can't find what you're finding. Where is that link at where he says he was at that party?
Email me and I'll send you that link.
Okay.
It's
online.
I'm sure you've seen his TikToks where he's out driving with the car on that evening.
Yeah, and the Instagram is always, I was living for the comments for a while.
But the Instagram where he's driving the evening of the 5th, out driving with his car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that to me speaks volumes. He's out by himself, and I wish there was like a local that can identify the hills, mountains where he's at, because it's close to sunset. You can tell behind his car. He's by himself, and he's got this. It's just strange. It's eerie music. You can tell he's got the strange emojis. The vibe on it is just really weird. You can tell he's going somewhere.
Well, he wasn't fishing.
He wasn't fishing. He wasn't with his dad. He wasn't at a party. He's wearing, he's on his way somewhere, and he's mad. I got a mad vibe from that last TikTok. So yeah, I think he showed up.
Well, that's what he slipped and said on Crime Online. We've heard the Fox interview before. So, who the hell would know if he was there or not? I wouldn't be surprised with the way he's still, well, he isn't doing it now, because he said he's not going to say anything else until the cause of death and all of that comes out. Okay. Well, didn't need to say anything anyway. But, he's professing his undying love for her, but then also.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, because everybody called him, even Sammy called him the ex-boyfriend in her interview. And there was not a sign of her on any of his social media until it was convenient for him to be the boyfriend. And now all of a sudden she's the love of his life,
Do you think it's that, or do you think he was holding a torch the whole time and got jealous that she was going to this party? Because
I think it was both. I think he was stalking her.
Oh. Well, because I just thought it was really odd that he's on Fox from the Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot in Reno saying that he's there. He's got Kate with him, some other dude in the back. I've heard that's Nate. Anyway, we don't see, you have to really look to see Nate behind him. They're there looking for Kylie, and it says boyfriend and friend. That was never corrected. He did the interview. He never asked for a correction. Crime Online says this is her boyfriend. No correction. Yet you got Sammy saying he's the ex. She was living her single life. Now, how do you think old Kate feels about him professing his undying love for Kylie all over the internet when she is kind of with him, if you know what I mean?
Because that's the culture nowadays. They all do that friends with benefits thing. They don't. It's a completely different world now. It's a completely different moral boundaries now than we did.
It's always been, you wear the scarlet letter. You are not, you are, You
Yeah,
do
they
not
don't look at it like that now. They really, really don't. I know it's bizarre for us. We don't look at it that way, but they don't mind. You saw the messages that we saw, right? I know what you're talking about.
I
And
do, but
Kate doesn't care.
You're telling me all of these kids, all of this generation, that basically girl code 101 went out the window. And because it used to be and still is, now mind you, it happens all the time still, that boyfriends, ex-boyfriends are off limits. It's not like that anymore because according to my
really, yeah, it is really, yeah. I have my kids are 29. I have to think 29, 27, 24, and 11. And I have lots of kids and teens around here, and I've talked with them, and I'm in several moms groups with tweens and teens, and it's a common subject. And yeah, it's very well known. They share everything, including the boys and girls.
I would agree with everything you're saying. That it's a different world with kids
it is a
these
completely
days.
different world. Yeah.
What boundaries used to be aren't anymore. However, I would come back and say that doesn't mean that emotions do not get involved.
This is true. I had this. Okay, so like, you remember back in our day when girls and boys, you remember when we would play doctor, for example? What we used to call playing doctor. When kids play doctor nowadays, you remember when sometimes emotions would get involved back in our days?
I have where are you going with this one?
Okay. Playing doctor, you show me yours, I'll show you mine, kind of thing with your friends, right? You'd go in the bathroom and you'd look down each other's shirts, and you know what I'm talking about.
I have never played that game.
Come on, y'all. I'm trying to keep it really super clean.
Yes, I get what you're saying. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
And they're done that.
Okay, maybe you did, but okay.
Not everybody did it, but the majority of people did this kind of thing. You'd wonder if your friends were getting, reaching puberty yet. You'd check out each other's body parts, and girls and boys did that, with each other. You just look at each other. Body parts.
No, I don't agree. That's very weird.
A lot of people did that, and a lot of people did not. That's fine. If you did, it's totally normal, and if you did not, that's totally normal too. It is completely developmentally normal.
Okay, so
nowadays when they do that, it is they will take it a step further, and they will take it into a sexual level, whereas we did not back in our days. And it's considered to be completely normal now. They will not just look, they will do. And there's woke parents now that will encourage that.
Well,
that's experimenting.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
Yeah, it is absolutely disgusting. But they talk about it in the parent groups, and they call it exploring and finding yourself. That's a thing now. Oh, it's creepy. So yeah, no, my 11-year-old doesn't go to sleepovers. She doesn't go to anything like that because of all of that behavior. She's told me just going over to friends' houses and stuff is completely different from what we did. Watch your kids. It's a completely different world than what it's just completely different. And for teenagers, it is completely different as well. The boundaries are just completely different. Girls, just like once she's had them, sure, yeah, you can. It's just completely different. I mean, when I had a boyfriend, my friends would be like, nope, that guy is.
How did they turn out like that, though? I mean, what's going on? I do not believe that all of the kids are like that.
You really want to know the answer to that question?
I don't need to ask. I've talked to several of my friends. They've got kids graduating this year, graduated last year. They've heard a little about this case. My friends don't really get into, the true crime stuff too much. And they're like, God, I couldn't imagine. You
can thank Kim Kardashian for that.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
True. That's true.
All right, girlfriend. Well, thanks for coming up.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry to bring the bearer of bad news in that such a way, but it's sad. I mean, and you know, we can thank the adult industry as well. You notice that a lot of girls look more grown up than they used to.
Yeah,
You know,
God help us. God
and
help us.
and you can thank the Kardashians and stuff for that. Girls look way too grown up.
I just don't think all the kids are like that. I just
That
don't.
is true. That is true. I don't allow mine to wear anything, you know, that shows her belly, and you know, we require modesty and all of that. But it's really hard. It's so hard to keep them with those moral boundaries like they're supposed to have, and keep them modest and keep them young, and because they get made fun of when they go to school and they look younger than everybody else, you know. It's a struggle. It is a real struggle. So
all right, well, keep up the good fight, my friend. See you in chat.
All right, thank you guys. I love your channel. I love it. I'm new to all this. This is my very first time going into the YouTube crime world. This is my first case, other than way back in the Sophie Long thing, and I'm loving this. There's only a few of these channels I like. You're in my top 3. I love it. I love it. Love it.
Awesome.
You and 10 to Life, Perplexed, and You. I love it.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, hon.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
You know, Brooke, she has a good point that kids and the social structure is a lot different these days than it was 15, 20 years ago, probably even 10 years ago.
Oh,
and
sure.
While I wouldn't go as far to say it's a majority, it's a good portion. But
Sure.
regardless,
kids are always going to push the boundaries when allowed. They're going to want to dress older. They're kids. They want to be adults as soon as possible. They don't have the emotional maturity. Their brain is not developed. Oh, I get it. I mean,
but
no.
that doesn't negate the fact that there's still a moral code to these types of situations. And I think that's getting back to the topic.
The topic, yeah. That's why I was talking about what happened to the girl code. You don't leave your friends behind. You don't, you know, I'm thinking about a friend of mine and her daughter. There's no way she would ever consider dating a friend's ex-boyfriend. That was just something you would never think of. I mean, some do it, but you know what we call those, girls.
I will say, though, in the small town areas where, you know, everyone grew up together, it's hard not to date people that your friends have dated before. So I get that, but I do think there's still that underlying, like, girl code kind of thing. There's still codes about it. But I do have a lot of friends that have dated their friends' exes, but it's something that you okay with the friend first. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
I would agree with that as well.
I just think sloppy seconds is kind of one of those things that some of us just think is flat out disgusting. Mike, turn your camera off, please. What you got, Mike? What's going on?
I wanted to discuss about the Life 360. Who turned it off, actually?
I wrote that down. I wanted to talk about that. Who turned off the Life 360?
If I go by everything that Sammy said on her interviews, including the ones that have been uncut, I can place her and these friends in the car when they were exchanging shots. That's how I can place Sammy in there as the most likely candidate turning off the phone. Because didn't they say they had to charge the phone?
Yes, I mean, that was her statement as to why they were in the car. They were going back and forth to charge the phones.
And that's where I think the premeditated death and everything else came about. Once Sammy turned that off, you couldn't track her for anything itself. They could place whatever way of scenario that she had in mind, but she had to be the only one that knew that she had a 360 on the phone. Like someone close has to know, has to be close to her to turn this off manually. Because I doubt it's Kylie.
That's always been a mystery to me as well, how someone would have been able to get her phone and be able to turn anything off, turn it as well as possibly send the text message, because I know for a fact she had an iPhone 12, possibly a 13, nothing below a 12, because in one of the few pictures we have of her holding her phone, you can see the camera, and it's very identifiable. It strictly uses face
12
recognition.
And the 13 water?
You cut out, I'm sorry.
I said, isn't the 12 and the 13 water resistant?
They are, yes. But what I'm saying is that you would have to have facial recognition to unlock the phone, if not a passcode. I know that none of her friends would definitely not have her passcode. So it really comes down to either them snatching it while it was unlocked or someone snatching it, allegedly. Because I've even done an experiment with mine. I have an iPhone 12. You put your fingers, this is going to sound weird, but put your hand over your head and your fingers lifting up your eyelids and put the phone up to you, and it will not recognize it to unlock it.
Look at the comment on the screen. Do you guys mind answering that?
No, I don't think it was shut off. I think they actually said it was manually turned off. How they know and why they know, I don't know, but it wasn't shut off.
Yeah, I believe it was either powered down or turned off, which could have been turned off or loss of battery.
I do know that even if you have a... Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying,
Go ahead.
I do know that even if you lose power itself on it, that if you get any water submergence in the device, it can turn back on quickly. It won't last long, but it can turn on. I saw that on a different murder mystery case that they actually found the phone because the rain turned the device on.
Her mother said the 360 was shut off around midnight. Now, like in the case of Michaela Jones, her phone was off and they found it and it had been put in water, which they could still retrieve the data. It was torched, hit with a hammer, you name it. Of course, we still haven't heard about her phone. I have when the Check It guy went out there, we know what he found, and we still don't have a phone. I wouldn't be surprised if the phone doesn't wind up with coming out that was with one of the kids later.
I wouldn't be surprised that they already have the phone, because once you say to us that they know that it was manually turned off, you have to have the device to say that. You can't like go on the computer and be like, oh, I know it was manually turned off.
Well,
or what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, Mom said that it was shut off at midnight. My question is, who shut it off? Because we haven't even talked yet about the mass exodus at 12:30. It seems like a lot went on. Went on between that text and 12:33. Whether that text was sent at 11:30 that night, around midnight, or at 12:15, because we've heard 3 different times about this text that was sent to Mom. A lot went down. 12:33, we have nothing on the phone. 360 is shut off at midnight. Mass exodus around 12:30. She goes off grid 3 minutes later.
And then 3 minutes after that, Sammy calls her.
Yeah.
No. One of the timelines that I saw, it said that the phone was turned off at 12:30, not 12:33 or any other time.
Well,
Does anybody know the actual time?
12:33. Law enforcement
That was
says
the ping.
they know without a doubt that phone, there was no communication, nothing in or out of that phone from 12:33 on.
Do we
That
know
was
when the cadaver dogs came in? Do we know when the cadaver dogs came in? Because that's my focus right there, is how the cadaver dogs didn't sent to the lake.
The dogs came in. You guys help me here. The call was made to report her missing. We don't know what time, but it was much later. Okay, because she was supposed to be home. She was going to be late, so she obviously didn't get home. Mom wakes up the next morning, so already there we have several hours. She goes to Starbucks thinking that Kylie might be there meeting up with friends to go camping. So then we have 9 o'clock. So look, we have, let's say 12:30 a.m., 9 o'clock the next morning. So you can do the math. We don't know what time she actually called to report her missing, because it went out, I think, at 5:47 that night that they had a missing person. My understanding was the dogs were brought out very quickly. So like 7, 8 o'clock that night.
Yeah, it would have been the first 48.
But don't you guys find it odd that the dogs didn't go to the lake at all? They
We don't
should
know
have.
that. We don't know that they didn't.
Well, what I mean by dogs, I'm talking about tracking dogs, you might not. Cadaver dogs, you should have, because they can scent on top of water at all, regardless of how far distance.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is just because law enforcement didn't come out and say it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Sure.
We were never told what the dogs picked up on. Nothing at all. We basically, what was said in the press conferences is, this is what we're using to search. This is where we've been searching. This is how many hours we have in. Because remember, the Hasty team didn't get there until Tuesday morning to search Prosser Lake. That's the
sure.
Tuesday, the 9th. So that would be Tuesday morning. She went to the party on Friday. So Tuesday morning, that's when they searched Prosser Lake. So obviously they didn't find her. That's why it's kind of always been bless you. It's always been several people's assumption that the Honda wasn't in the lake on the 9th. That it was put in later, because remember, the road assistance guy said he saw it on Saturday. And I think it was Nerdy Addict on Twitter that said that's one of 3 people.
Right.
Okay. That's why I'm dealing with the cadaver dogs. It kind of plays into the tow guy's account. Like, if it was that day, exactly that day, the dogs of any kind should have had some type of scent. But because we really don't know, and we got this other account, it makes me wonder, did the cadaver dogs actually even went towards the area where the ping was? But that's an answer we won't know.
No, we don't know. They didn't ever say. I mean, even in the Summer Wells case, the only thing that we know about the dogs that were all over Ben Hill Road is that their scent stopped, I think, at the road. I'd have to look at my notes. That's a different case. So we hear little tidbits, but in this one, we're so new in this. I mean, we're just a little over a month. They haven't said anything. Supposedly on the 19th, Nevada County Sheriff is giving an update. I'm dying to know if that's going to be a press conference or if it's going to be, they're just going to put something on their Facebook page.
Yeah, I would have to think it'd be a statement, not a press conference. The only way it's going to be a press conference is if there's something significant like an arrest or throwing something out there to put pressure on someone.
Kind of like a red herring, tried to get more information.
Well, that's what Placer was doing in the beginning. There's no doubt about that. They even said that they had nothing to go on in the first community meeting. I feel like at this point, there's a lot more to go on. There better be a lot more to go on. And more than likely, it'll just be a statement, a press release. That's my opinion.
I feel that the FBI has a lot going on behind the scenes that are probably different than what the state's doing. Because I wouldn't be surprised they're looking for since there was drugs there, they're probably looking for the suppliers and all behind the scenes while the state's dealing with Kylie's thing.
Well, the only way that factors in is if they know there was fentanyl there. They don't give a shit about mushrooms or marijuana. Probably not even that much care about cocaine.
I would imagine there is fentanyl, or there was fentanyl there. And they do cut it with the cocaine.
Correct, but what I'm saying is if they can't place someone directly dealing with fentanyl there, then that's not, drugs is not going to be an issue that they're looking into.
Yeah.
Outside of the toxicology report. But this also goes back to what I've been saying about Nate C., who is currently incarcerated, has still not made his plea, which was expected to happen the following week of August 13th. Something's going on with that.
Yeah.
The funny thing with that gentleman, he doesn't have to make a plea. Like in any case, you do not have to make a plea. You do not have to say anything. You can be quiet as long as you want. And that's what happened on the Sierra Lamar case. It took about 5 years for that gentleman to even make a plea on his murder case. And this was in California.
Yeah. It does make you wonder, though, what's being spoken of behind the scenes there with him in delaying the plea. They could be trying to figure things out.
I'm trying to find this article where they're talking about the search efforts when they brought in dogs, when they brought in divers, when they, boats, ATVs, all that stuff. I think it's in the Sacramento Bee. If I don't get to it on this show, I will, because it's very detailed. Because it was talking about helicopters, all kinds of stuff. They had pictures of the search parties. There's tons of pictures of the search and how they had things set up. It was on the news every morning. Hang on, let me put the link up. Somebody wants the link.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's much to go on what cadaver dogs would have found or not found due to the lack of our knowledge.
No, and I'm glad he brought up how long it took in another case, because, okay, even if they tell us November 1st, this is the cause of death, this is where we're leaning. We're closing it up today. It's an accident. Condolences to the family. Bye-bye. Mind your own business, get a hobby. Mind your own business, get a hobby, the whole 9 yards. Or this is the cause of death. It could even be undetermined. And this is now the focus of our investigation. It could take years. This stuff is crazy. It could take years. I got to find that article, though. Okay, so in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the video. I put it on the channel this morning. You guys can go back and look. And the original link is in the bio, because we're going to go back and look at, which I guess they don't do it like this anymore, but we're going to look at some stuff that Sammy said about a month and a half ago.
This morning, the urgent investigation and desperate search for a missing 16-year-old girl. Law enforcement scouring the area Monday after Kylie Rodney disappeared from this campground in Northern California near Lake Tahoe.
We have no plans to leave any stone unturned until we get Kylie home.
The sheriff's department currently treating the case as a potential abduction. Other agencies, as well as the FBI, also involved in the investigation. Rodney was last seen at a campground party along with between 200 and 300 other teens on Saturday in the early morning hours. Kylie's mother got a text from her daughter around midnight about coming home, but she never did.
I called her and I sent her texts too, and she didn't answer. And so that's when I knew that something was wrong.
Sammy Smith says she was the last person to speak.
I really wish, oh boy, we got more kids on the screen. I really wish that when Mom was giving her interviews, I understand she's upset and a lot going on. Of course, I'm being selfish here. We ever knew when she realized, obviously she realized in the morning Kylie hadn't come home, but if we just had some times help. What do you guys think?
It was the most frustrating part of this case.
Yeah, because it would be easy to just look at your phone and look at the timestamp on the text message.
Yeah, because she says that I was calling, and then I realized, but I don't know when she realized. I'm going to assume it was later in the afternoon because she went to Starbucks around 9 a.m. that morning to meet up with the friends to see, have you seen Kylie? She's not answering her phone. That's how it was presented to us. I don't know. I wasn't there.
It seems like I remember them saying it was like a 9 o'clock time that they met at Starbucks. So I would feel it'd have to have been a little earlier than afternoon.
Oh, no, not the Starbucks thing. I'm just saying the conversation. I don't know what happened. But that morning she went to Starbucks.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know when throughout the day the police were alerted they couldn't find Kylie. Because I believe it was 5:47 that evening is when they put it out on their Facebook, their Twitter and stuff like that they were looking for a missing person, and they had Kylie's picture on there. And I want to know, what friends did she go see at the Starbucks? See, that's another thing we've never heard. What friends was she going to go camping
with? Yeah.
Do you guys know? Does anybody know what friends were supposedly at the Starbucks?
Nope.
So much mystery, so much that's just not known, that makes this case so dang hard to decipher.
Yeah. And it's easy stuff that should be available to speak on, like, times
Typically,
that you
yeah.
got a text message. Yeah, everything is like easy to answer questions. So you think they put it out there to make it less confusing if they didn't want anybody like being suspect of everything.
Well,
You
see,
think
I
they put
feel
more solid stuff
right.
out.
I feel like whenever you hear Sammy mention a 12:36 phone call and her mom mentioned the text message from Kylie the night of at, 11:30? I feel like these statements have to be true because they were provided to law enforcement as proof. Like they literally showed them their phones. And if they didn't, we have a lot bigger issues on our hands. Because hearsay is not going to cut it.
No, and I see in chat they said Mags, Kate, Sammy mentioned that she was going to be at Sammy mentioned I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so in chat we have those three names, and one of the biggest frustrations obviously is the time, but you have 12:30 a.m., which would be, the 6th, just after midnight, and then when the missing persons report comes out, that was after 5 o'clock on the 6th. What are we looking at? 15, 16, 17 hours? That's a long damn time.
Well, that also plays in the whole Amber Alert not being alerted situation. Okay, it didn't meet the criteria, but if it did, when would have it gone out? Nobody asked that.
The first
And
48's the most important. We've almost burned up 24 hours by the time the missing poster came out.
right. Typically, I think Amber Alerts go out pretty darn quick.
Super quick.
Quicker than quick.
Yeah, especially for a minor.
This comment, hang on, before I get back to the clip, I've got to find it. Jasmine, thank you. A text isn't proof of life. We don't know who sent that text right now. We have no idea. Do you guys think Kylie sent that text? I know Doug with Adventures with Purpose was asked, and he was a little uneasy about that question. He wouldn't really answer in one of the interviews I saw. He could have changed it since then. Do you guys think it's possible, let's just say possible, so we're not accusing anybody, that it wasn't even Kylie that sent the text? We do know that the text was perfectly fluid and made perfect sense. So you can take the voice to text out if she was really that messed up. Not to put you guys on the spot up here, do you think Kylie sent the text?
You can put me on the spot. And from day one, I never thought that she did. And that's because of not having any kind of mention of what happened between her being at the truck stop, gas station, both of them, whatever, and going to the party. So 6 and 10:30, you have that big gap from the get-go. That's always been my biggest red flag. And what we don't know what happened, and how plausible it is that there was something that happened during that period of time which would not allow her to have her phone or not allow her to be able to, unfortunately, be capable of sending a text.
I think it's possible she sent the text, and then I think after the text is when stuff went awry.
That could be it too. Because here's the thing, I've thought about it both ways. Kylie didn't send the text at all. Something had already happened, but they didn't want her mom to show up there. Then I thought about it and I thought, well, that would be stupid to say, I'm going to be, a little late, because then mom is going to be looking for her to come home a little late. Odds are they didn't know. Mom went to sleep. And then she gets up the next morning. No Kylie. Kylie's not answering her phone. So she goes to Starbucks to meet her. Real quick, Tracy has a question. Thank you for the super sticker. She says, I'm a little behind. Was it ever mentioned who Sammy got a ride home from the night of the party? Nope. That's another simple answer we don't have an answer to.
I heard somewhere that it was someone named Connor, but I don't know where that.
We discussed it on the show.
Where that was from.
We discussed it on the show here. Sleuthy said it was Connor. Then we heard from another source that her brother picked her up.
I just still have a suspicion that she actually drove Kylie's car. Like, okay, you're too drunk, but I'm going to drive it. And I mean, she did slip up and say, I was driving. I mean, I was sitting in the passenger seat.
Here's the thing. We still only have a screenshot of one video of 20 kids standing together as a proof of any party actually existing. We don't know that there was this big party other than word of mouth.
I know. You think they would give us more if they had it to kind of clarify all this stuff, especially because it seems like nobody wants anybody talking about it and nobody wants anybody having any speculations. So why not clear up all this?
And that's why I go back to the missing spot in the timeline. It could have definitely been something happening to build up to have a cover story for what happened next.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are all simple things to answer. So why is it coming out so complicated and there's so many questions that we don't know for sure.
And, it's clear that law enforcement's holding that information close to the vest. And I can only, have to think that it's because of them needing more information before they can put the finger on one individual.
And also, at the end of the day, when it really boils down to it, they don't care that we're talking about this case and we're spinning our wheels. They don't care that we wake up at 3:00 in the morning going, "Oh, I just thought of this. I'm going to write this down and talk about this in my show or my Facebook group." They don't care. They don't really want people blowing up their phones saying, "Hey, I heard on Facebook that Kylie wasn't even really the one in the car." Now, that stuff pisses them off. But as far as us wondering and trying to put things together, I don't think that is on their list of priorities.
I think if they gave us more answers, solid answers of times and things, they would have less random tips coming in to filter through.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Now, here my question is, before I get back to the clip, do you think they even know?
Or that's what it makes you wonder that if they do.
Well, you say that again. Do they know what?
Do you think they even know?
Do they know answers to these
do
questions?
They have the answers?
Mm-hmm.
Is what you're asking?
Well, because they asked, all week long. Almost for 2 weeks, they had a daily press conference. When I could find the damn things, we would stream them in here. And every day, somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw her. Somebody saw her leave. They would say it every single day. Then they said, we're going to take a different investigative approach. Do they know? Their latest tweet about the timeline, this was when Placer County had the investigation. Nevada hasn't told us anything except for that they're in charge and left everything in the lake. That's basically all they've told us. They said the timeline is basically 6:08 to 12:33. 6:08, we have her on surveillance leaving a store. 12:33 is when her phone shut off. So what went on between 6:08 and 12:33? I think a lot went on between when she or someone sent that text and that phone went off grid. All of those kids didn't just jump up and leave at 12:30 because they were done partying. Hell no.
No party's done at that time anyways.
They're not all
and
going
look,
to have the same idea either.
This goes back to phone pings as well. They were very interested in the boat ramp at first. They shut down the dam road across from the reservoir. What is it? Boca something or other, not Boca Reservoir, but on the opposite side of the Prosser Reservoir. They shut that area down. Nobody could search over there. Those areas are of interest for a reason. And I can almost guarantee you it's because of a phone ping. So yeah, I would have to
say that again, my friend. You just piqued my interest. Say that again.
The boat ramp was a very big interest to them in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's where they started the first dive. It was also mentioned AWP. It was told AWP that that's where they should start. But then you also throw in the mix of, I'm looking at the map again here now. So on the opposite side of the Prosser Reservoir, you have the big area they said stay out of to all the people searching on foot, Boca Road. And it's over there by the dam area. And those areas are of interest for a reason. And to me, the most likely reason is for phone pings.
I would think so, but whose phone? Because hers went off at 12:33. Are you saying before 12:33?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But you've always thought that maybe she was at the party at Donner and not at Placer. She just wound up there in the lake.
I was entertaining that theory. That wasn't my first always thought, but yeah, I entertained it, and it's just because there's that missing gap.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very possible that there was multiple parties. When I used to go out to parties out in the woods out here, there was always multiple because there was different kinds of groups of people. So even like if we showed up to one spot and it wasn't really our vibe or whatever, we would go shoot over to another party out in the woods.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And maybe law enforcement has more information about the other parties that coincided with that evening. I just still feel like there's a big lack of evidence to show that there was a huge party there at the sanctuary area or Prosser campground.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm wondering what Doug at Adventures with Purpose was told, though, because, he talked to people that obviously aren't on any panels, if you know what I mean. And he said, no, it was a big party. He said it. He said, he explained it. And he said, yeah, he goes, it was a big party. He said 300-400 people.
Well, again, he could just be speaking of what he was told.
Well, I'm just wondering who told him, because, they went around the town that day. Maybe everyone's just going off of what they had heard on here. I mean, not on here, but, on the internet. So what you brought up's really intriguing me there, Jay. And
well, on top of that, think about what else Doug said on the video when talking to Nick, the serviceman, that he said, oh, Boca Reservoir, that was already on my radar. That means that he was provided information from law enforcement and it had to be a ping. They're driving around leading up to this 12:30 mark, trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they had to grab phones and find pings and evidence of text messages. I don't see why they wouldn't have. But a lot of the unanswered questions make it seem like they didn't check people's phones.
Well, Tracy sort of in that line of thought, she left a comment yesterday. Tracy, you're awesome. She said, quick thought, I think it was Elsa that said a guy blocked the path so no one could leave the party, right? We did hear something about that. Well, maybe he was blocking the area of where Kylie was being put in her trunk so no one could see. I don't know, just something that popped in my head. Does that make sense to anyone?
It's very likely. But you also got to think that we are dealing with kids, not masterminds.
Well, yeah. But we go back to the masterminds on the screen here, the infamous picture that Sammy gave to Channel 13, trash everywhere that the parents cleaned up for them the next day, some at 4:30 in the morning. That's why I think some of these parents do know something happened bad at that party. I think some of the parents know, and they went out there to clean up. They all seem to be looking one direction, not a cup in their hand. They're not standing there socializing, partying, anything like that. They're looking. They have their hands. Look at the guy on the left of the screen, kind of an army green hoodie. He's leaning over and looking at something. Do you guys see that?
Yes, and when I say that there may have not been this big party, don't get me wrong, there were people there. I'm just leaning towards more that they weren't there for a party.
Oh, this isn't a big party. No, this is like 26 people. This is a gathering.
Yeah, it's not what we've heard them saying, what they're making it out to be, like this huge 200, 300, 400. I don't know how many times it's changed.
But if you look at this picture again, they're flocking somewhere. Something's got their attention, okay? I used to think the picture wasn't a big deal, and I do think it's a bigger deal now because, one, it happens to be the one that Sammy gave the news. Why did she give them this picture? Because this picture does not back up her claims of this crazy off the hook party. And like I said, if you look at the left of the screen, not only do you see a white hoodie laying in the dirt and trash everywhere, you see particularly one kid, he's leaning over so much to look at something that he's only standing on one foot.
Yeah, and if you go back to the timeline as to Elsa's statement, this was due to the car that was supposedly blocking the road blaring his music. Now, whether that's credible or not is one thing or another, but that is one possibility.
Do we know if that picture was a screen grab from a video?
It was.
Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't look like a quality of just a picture.
Well, I've heard two versions of this story. Go figure, just like everything else in this case. I've heard it's a screen grab from a video. It says Sammy Smith at the top left. This was put on the news. This was on Channel 13.
Right.
Several news stations. And then I've heard that she took it through her windshield. It looks
Whose
like
windshield? She didn't drive.
I don't know what car she would have been sitting in. Welcome to, yeah, exactly. We're all in the same boat here.
Kylie's car. Yeah. Well, she kept going back to Kylie's car, so I would imagine that's where she would be sitting. I would like to see the video.
I want to see the whole damn night.
Yeah.
See the whole
right? Something.
I want to know what led up. I even want to know why she was at that store. What led up to the party? What made her change her plans to go to the car show in Reno to go to this party? It's not the first party she's ever been to, we were told. She knows the area very well, but for some reason she turned into the lake. We're supposed to believe that she has ATV'd, snowmobiled, the whole gamut all around this area. This is her backyard, but she turned into the lake.
The way I understand it, the decision to go to the party instead of Hot Nights in Reno was a last-minute decision, which indicates persuasion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it seems to me like this wouldn't even be her group of friends that she would hang out with. You know? I know they say they're her friends, but it doesn't seem like her scene. Like I don't see her like wanting to go to that party. So I think definitely someone persuaded her.
And why on earth, again, when she was asked for a picture of the party, did she hand them the one that looks the least party-ish? This is a bunch of kids standing around looking one direction. One guy is leaning over to look at something. Was she, I mean, that is a strange picture to give us now when you think about it. And all of these parents that are telling their kids not to say anything, oh, I don't know if my kid was at the party or not. As parents, we can pick out our own child. We know what they look like more than they do. Doesn't matter whose clothes they have on.
Yeah, I could definitely pick out my child in that screen grab for sure.
Yeah, even if they have their friends' clothes on, you know your child's posture, composure, how they stand, what you know that. You could tell even looking at the back of them. And if that picture had popped up on my TV, my news feed, my, however you get your news, whatever, I'd have been like, that's you.
And not only that, you would know their friends too.
Yeah, exactly. The friends too, because you know who's eating your groceries. You're like, Junior, that's you. And that's all your buddies that have been eating my food.
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like that it's almost as if to provide as little information as possible.
Yup. Well, there's definitely a lot of deflection going on. And I want to know what parent in their right mind, and I'm using that term loosely, would tell their child to lie, not talk. Mind you, my child would have an attorney before talking to the police because we know how kids talk. I could talk myself into trouble in 2 seconds. I would want an attorney because they think they're going to lose a scholarship. Really? No. All right, I'm going to play the rest of this clip real quick.
Speak with her at the party were released Saturday morning.
She was having a fun time at a party, just being a teenager. Everything she drank, I drank out of. And there was nothing that seemed off about her.
Police say Rodney's phone has been out of service since the party. Her car, a silver Honda SUV like this one, also missing. Police are now asking anyone who attended the party to cooperate with the investigation.
We're just begging for you to please come forward and share your story.
Begging. We're begging for you to come forward and share your story. But as of Saturday, she said, shut up and get a hobby. So there we have Sammy talking. I drank out of everything she drank out of and nothing seemed off. When did the story change and what made it change? Maybe it was all the begging from mom. When did the story change from I drank out of everything she drank out of and nothing seemed off to she was so drunk, but I wanted to leave, even though she planned and organized the party, supposedly. But I wanted to leave, and I knew she would figure it out. That's a big thing in this case. When did she go from nothing seeming off to she was so drunk that she would drive straight into a lake? Can one of you guys up here help me?
I think it changed to that once she realized the narrative wasn't going the way she wanted it to.
Bingo.
Well, you come down to brass taxes. It's not plausible that she could be both.
Mm-mm.
So she's given you two excuses that do not coincide.
Yeah, it's changing because of what she's seeing, like how people are reacting to it. So it changes to follow a certain narrative.
Do you think possibly, not accusing anybody of anything, that the pendulum swung so far away from I drank out of everything she drank out of, nothing seemed off, to, well, what she said about how wasted she was because she wanted to explain how she got in the lake and drunk driving would be easily explainable. Well, hey, she was drunk. She drove in the lake. That's what Jagger's been saying. It could happen to anybody. She was drunk out of her mind, he said, and she just drove into the lake. It could happen to anyone, he said. She drove off a steep shoreline. That's what he said.
Well, that was the second interview she gave, right?
Uh-huh.
When was that interview given?
This one, hold on.
This morning, the urgent investigation and desperate search for a missing.
Well, hang on. I'm trying to find the date. I just had the date.
The American Dream Chaser interview was the 10th or the 11th.
Okay, so this would be before.
So this would be the first interview.
One of them, because we were hearing a lot from her. We were already thinking something was not adding up. Something was strange. And then we see the interview with you-know-who that doesn't know how he got the interview. That was different.
Yeah, the beginning narrative that the kids were pushing was she could have been taken by somebody. Somebody took advantage of her. She could have been taken, but they think she's alive and they're going to find her. And that was what they were pushing. And then all of a sudden it changed to she was so drunk. This was an accident. It just
there was a
switched.
big push for kidnapping / trafficking in the very beginning, which blew my mind because there was no credible evidence to suggest that outside of a possible kidnapping. And law enforcement even came out and said that they are investigating it as a kidnapping, but only because her car had not been found. So we know when her car was found. When did Sammy's story change? When did she start throwing out additional excuses?
I guess when she met Tony.
I think we need to go back and look at what coincided in between there, assuming that information is public knowledge.
It's getting harder and harder to find the earlier stuff, so I'm trying to record as much stuff as I can. Not that there's any conspiracy or anything like that. It's just things fall off after a while, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
It's crazy. I agree with Patty Martin. The father and grandfather need to get a second autopsy if it's called an accident.
I hope they do. I hope Dad's still staying on top of wanting answers, because it really feels like even the investigation side of it and the mom and that little group, they're all pushing this. It's an accident. It's an accident. I mean, we all know something's up here, you know? I just hope Dad stays on that. And I know that the true crime community has his back with that.
Absolutely, because the dad breaks my heart. And when an eyewitness, a person that we trust very much, actually several, were at the community meeting, I think it was on that Wednesday or Thursday night, Dad walked in, all business. He's not mingling. He's not talking to anybody. Straight line. He wants to hear what's going on. I think it's the night he grabbed the mic and said, "These are the parties your kids go to."
I loved how he said that. I loved how he said that.
No,
because
he said, "This is not just my kid. This is all your kids."
Yeah. And that's how every kid should be to everyone. We should always be looking out for them.
You know, and you can say what you will about AWP not contacting mom not having contact info for AWP. He said, she said, blah, blah, blah. But we'll get it down to the facts of the matter. Dad and Grandpa were there when her car was found. Dad and Grandpa were there when the laptop was found. They want answers.
Those two definitely want answers. They definitely want answers. Like I said, Dad's at the community meeting. He has nothing to say to those kids. Nothing. He's not going to deal with the kids. When he was approached about the GoFundMe, I think somebody was saying, I remember exactly how it was. I'm ad-libbing here. Something about, they weren't asking what it was for or anything, but basically saying, I'm going to donate, you know, when I get paid or something. It was a conversation like that. And he stopped him and he goes, oh, no. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with that. He's all about Kylie, all about Kylie. And now think about what you said, Jay. Dad and Grandpa are there when they find the car, when they find Kylie. You cannot tell me that now, if the waitress told her at the sushi restaurant that came across her phone, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it happened that way. But you cannot tell me that her own father did not tell her what was going on. You cannot tell me that the father of her child did not tell her what was going on. Bad blood and animosity alone. You cannot tell me that those two men did not tell her what was going on.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it just seems like a bad excuse to be upset with them. There has to be something more there. That's
right. You're right. There has to be something more there, because you know what? If law enforcement told them, hey, there's no evidence suggesting anything other than her driving into the lake drunk, they would not be looking for answers like they are.
Have you guys ever seen a case where, hang on real second, Jinbug, thank you for the super sticker. Why is only have screenshot of surveillance, no video? We haven't seen anything. I'd love to know too. I think if they put videos out, if they have them, that would Well, it would either make things better or worse. You never know in this case. You never know in this case. What was I saying? What was I saying, guys?
I don't know.
I had just mentioned about looking for answers. If it was so simple, if law enforcement already knows the answer, it doesn't seem like they would be this involved still.
Oh, yeah. And they're not going to release potential evidence if it is a criminal investigation or they think it could become one. I mean, in one of the press conferences, when they were getting extra frustrated, people are asking questions. You could tell the questions that were being asked by the community, they were going down the same road as all of us. And they said, listen, if you're thinking it, so are we. They're knowing this. They know this isn't just cut and dry. I don't need any names or anything. Chat, you guys on panel. So locally, where you live, people have accidents, right? Every day. People go missing around the country every day. Okay, so we know the difference in how those two scenarios are treated by our own local law enforcement and how our local news reports it. Have you ever seen a daily press conference and a separate tip line put up for something perceived to be just a tragic accident? These things happen every day. It could happen to anyone, like Jagger said. Anyone? It's never, I can't think, I'm not saying it's not possible. I've never seen it. We have lots of lakes around here. People go missing, but there's not a daily press conference talking about trying to find someone that they presume drowned in the lake.
Yeah, and that goes back to me saying, and they were holding things close to their chest from the beginning. I don't believe that all the pleas for help and the request for more information was solely for face value. I truly believe there's more behind it. They're putting pressure on people that they know that are involved, and they're building their case.
Brooke, I plead the fifth said that you were saying, you said, have you guys ever seen a case where
I just completed my sentence. I remember.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No, that's what I was asking. Because in my memory, I don't remember ever seeing, like I said, think about like your own, around your area, your local news, your law enforcement, how they do things. Accidents happen every day. So, I mean, I'm thinking about like, I've never, ever, ever heard of, any, this type of investigation if it's presumed someone had an accident. Thank you, Leopard. Leopard smells when I'm stepping in. She said, no, this case has suspicion all around it. It's complex. Yeah, I just can't imagine, especially in such a small community.
It's definitely out of the ordinary with their approach with the community meetings and pressers, and the little information that they did provide and how the information did change with the hoodies. And even to go as far as saying that a gold necklace is a point of interest. Mm-hmm. I mean, that seems so minute, and I remember people looking on eBay and finding similar gold necklaces and trying to search down who the sellers were. And, kudos to them for doing some good sleuthing, but I don't see how that would come back at all to finding her.
Yeah, of all the tips that they give out for the community to help, they're not really giving us anything but more questions and suspicion.
Very small details.
Yeah.
From what I understand, that when locals in Placer, I don't know about Nevada County, that when they do talk to the police, that they are assured that there's a lot going on. There was just a conversation with Captain Brown, I guess, the other day. A local called, what is going on with this? So I'm glad that people that are local in the community are staying on it too. And he explained that he knew everything that's going on social media. He's aware of social media. Let me put it that way. He couldn't know everything, and that there's a lot going on.
There's no doubt they're aware of social media, and the smoking gun for that is Sammy's interview with Dream Chaser. That provided them with any kind of information, not only where they might not be aware of, but any kind of change in the story, any kind of change in what she told them, any kind of details that weren't mentioned by others. If there was that, there might be more. So of course they're paying attention.
See, and that wasn't really what piqued my interest, so much that, I would hope that they would be aware that there's an interest, but just that, look, there's a lot going on. Not don't worry about it. It was just an accident is what it looks like.
Yeah. And why is that being pushed, the accident now?
I don't know why the PI came out and said this looks like it was a fatal accident. He made it sound like, or I know a lot of people perceived as if he has some sort of inside information. Well, I've read the article several times throughout this week where they did not say that at all in the last time they spoke to the news, which was over the weekend, where they said they're still investigating it, whether she was deceased before she was in the car, after, what led up to. That article let me see if I can find it again.
While you're looking for that, around 2 weeks into the investigation, when Placer County is tweeting out their little their charts of what all is entailing and going into the search for Kylie, they're putting up the hours, the man hours of looking. They were put in looking for her, and I believe at one point it was like 19,000, and this was very early on. And of course, this was collaborated hours amongst law enforcement. But I remember thinking, there's not that many hours into the investigation so far. So who knows if, a lot of those minutes and hours are from a law enforcement agent sitting behind a computer monitoring everything that's being said and done.
I think they're calculating everybody involved, every agency that was involved. And that could very well be, even if they just have a computer that's monitoring social media,
Right. But, someone sitting there in front of a screen is going to rack up more hours than a day search entails.
Shit, it's like they incorporated all of our hours in there. Okay, somebody asked about the article. It's a KCRA. It was on KCRA. It was from over the weekend. What they said should have been the headline, but the headline was mainly about the memorial. I'm not saying that. I think there should have been two separate articles. Let me put it that way. One about the memorial and one for what I would consider not an update, but just something new to put out. But it was basically at the bottom of the article. It says, while friends and family focus on the life Rodney lived, investigators want to know why and how she died. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office is waiting on an autopsy and toxicology results, which could take a couple of weeks. It will show, and that's a couple of more weeks because all of that was submitted weeks ago, which could take a couple of weeks. It will show if anything was in her system and how she died. If she died before she was in the lake or if she died in the car. California Highway Patrol is determining how the car ended up in the lake. So that's from KCRA. That came out over the weekend, last weekend. And that blew my mind when I read just that little bit. because just a few days before, which was last week, is when the PI said it's a tragic accident. I can't remember how he worded it now, but I thought, well, what does he know? That's quite the 180.
Well, I think that just proves that he obviously doesn't know anything, and also proves that there is more to go on than what we have, which would fuel Dad and Grandpa to continually be asking questions and being there for the things that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, nope. I'm like, did you get some inside information, or is it just because you think so? I don't get it. I mean, just
You never know.
Just your say so? I don't know. No idea. Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, I just realized what time it was. Shoot, I'm way behind. I didn't realize I kept you guys this long. I'm sorry.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, I tell you what, interesting conversation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, as always, for having us. And,
anytime.
I would like to just say something to the chat and everybody in the true crime community before we leave today.
Please.
I started out by saying that, I woke up today, the sun's shining, it's a good day, it's Friday. But who didn't wake up today is Kylie. And that's why we're all here. It's not just justice, but it's life. And life is beautiful. Don't take it for granted. Sometime this weekend, stop and take a moment and smell the roses.
Oh, that is so true.
Yes, very true. Thank you.
You get so caught up in this stuff. You get so caught up. Yeah, take some time this weekend. I'm all anxious about football games and stuff. Just enjoy the little stuff.
Yes.
Right.
Enjoy it for Kylie for sure.
All right, guys. I'll see you over in Discord. All right?
All right. Thanks, Brooks. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. It's been a crazy week. A lot of stuff going on. Might be doing a members live this weekend. I know I've been promising a members live, and it seems like something's always coming up either on my end or I don't know what's going on your end. We're definitely going to get that geared up, if not over the weekend, next week. And in the meantime, I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend. Keep up. Let me know what's going on in between, whether you check into Discord or over in the Facebook group. Either way, I will see you back. If I don't catch you over the weekend, then I'll see you back here on Monday. So set your reminder. Don't forget to sub. If you feel so inclined, the like button always helps us with the powers that be at YouTube. And you guys are the best. Best mod squad on YouTube, best chat, and best community. See you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.